Today we are going to talk about the Jesus. Today we're going to get back into my typical content, which is Apex Christianity, Geopolitical Christianity. I already put out a video this morning. Check it out. It's Geopolitical Christianity for gummy worms, explained in a way that helps them to decide against it. Very few people do the deep dives, you know? Very few people take the time to go deep. Oh, yeah. Real deep. Oh, yeah. I'm referring to profundity. I'm not referring to anything outside of that. So we're talking about the power that Jesus said you had access to. And gummy worm Christianity teaches you that you've got to outsource your power to a sky phantom. Some bitch ass in the sky that doesn't do anything for anybody. Not for you, not for me, for nobody. There are a couple of people that are winning with that ideology, but that's because they're winning based on the losing of others. And so in today's video, if you're one of those people that is a very disillusioned Christian and you've been seeking a real and pleasant, a real and satisfying relationship with God, the real God, the Most High, the one that actually gets results in life. If you've been looking for that and you've been, it's been evading you, you haven't encountered that, you've been seeking a real relationship with God, you've been doing the things that you thought were the right things to do, you've been the best person you could possibly be, you've been kind, compassionate, you've been sincere and authentic in your walk, and you're just not seeing results, I get you, because I know what that's like. Hell, I just had one of those moments yesterday before I put out the video about Lamu. I had a very powerful, very, profound moment of dissatisfaction. I was like, God, Most High, what's going on here? And this has been kind of the theme of my year, more or less. And I'm getting so good at understanding what God requires of me to be, do, and have the things that bring satisfaction, or the things that reflect satisfaction with my relationship with God. So as a geopolitical Christian, as an Apex Christian, again, all of the things that you were taught in Sunday school or Sabbath school or at Wednesday night prayer meeting, all of those things are bunk to us. We still utilize the Bible. We still understand the importance of Christ. We still harp on a relationship with the Most High God. But we are interested in real world results today, here and now. Today, here and now. I am not waiting for my pie in the sky in the hereafter. What's the point? There's nowhere in the Bible that says that I was born to go to hell at any point. And it is stupid. Like the dumbest ideas you find in mainstream Christianity. 6,000 years ago, two knuckleheads ate some apples. They weren't apples. But Christians think they were apples. So they ate a forbidden fruit. And then I was born 6,000 years later. Had nothing to do with it. But I'm supposed to go to hell because of that? All right? And then there's this guy that came around, a Jewish rabbi in first century Judea, who had nothing to do with me, didn't know me, never met me. I never knew him. He got tortured to death, right? And then that's my fault too. So that if you have a functioning brain and you love God and you love humanity, you really love people. You have a love in your heart. You're an authentic person, and you keep running into this spiritual brick wall of, okay, God, when is my life going to pick up? Okay, God, when am I going to be able to do the things that I want to do to enjoy my life and also share that with other people? When is it going to pick up, Lord? Well, this video is for you. Jesus talks about the ultimate basis of power, and I'm going to break it down in the real terms. No apologist is talking about this, not Wesley Newton's doogly head, whatever his name is, Wesley Booth, the guy that everybody's worshiping as Jesus. I put out a bunch of videos about it. He's a great guy, good apologist from Canada, Wesley Huff. But nobody's talking about this, guys, and it is so plain. It is so obvious. All you've got to do is open up the Bible, and if you read English, Spanish, Latin, whatever you want to read, and just read the words that are on the paper. But you have to read it without the gummy worm mindset lens. So I'll share with you what Jesus said is the ultimate basis of power. Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all his righteousness, all these things will be added to you, right? We've heard that. We've read that. It's all amazing. Leading up to that verse, he says, don't worry about what you're going to eat. Don't worry about where you're going to sleep. Don't worry about the clothes you're going to wear. The birds and the foxes and the animals and stuff, don't worry about that, and God provides for them fully. Isn't he going Isn't he going to provide for you more so? So you're working at a 9 to 5 that you hate. Skull drudgery. You hate your life. You hate your boss. You hate everything about it. You get up and you hate to go there. You go home. You hate to wake up the next day to go there. You just hate your life. Okay, is that the life that God, the Most High, has for you? Not likely, right? Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Okay, that is poorly translated. The word there is basileiron. It's the Greek word basileiron. That's where we would get the word basis. He's saying, seek first the basis of power. Basileiron, the kingdom of heaven, the basileiron of heaven, the kingdom of power, the basis of power in your life. Okay? And all things that you seek and desire will be yours. He later goes on to say, who do you say I am? Another poor translation. Now, first of all, the basis of power means, where does power in your life get you to where you want to be? Well, I didn't read that. That's what it says. So Jesus is telling us, like a fucking idiot, okay, look for a palace, a kingdom or an estate in the sky. I'm going to share with you the verses where he said, don't do that. That's stupid. Jesus even said, that's stupid, man. Don't be a dumbass. Jesus said, don't be a dumbass. Thou shalt not be a fucking retard. That's what Jesus said. I didn't say it. It's in the Bible. I'm not fucking with you. You got to read the Bible, people. Don't just take everything I say. But like everything I'm saying is verifiable. You just read the Bible, okay? Greatest technology left by the golden age. So Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. The word there is basileiron, and in the word, and it's talking about the basis of the power, the seat of dominion in your life. It's not the police. It's not your boss. It's not your spouse. It's not your parents. It's not your kids. It's not the government. There's something much more powerful that you have access to. The church doesn't want you to know about it. Society doesn't want you to know about it. The government doesn't want you to know about it. Why do you think? Because they benefit from your spiritual power. They benefit from you being a gummy worm. You're like a battery, and they're siphoning off your energy. Hello, Dragon. Welcome. I love the Dragon. And Rob Blockster. Hey, what's up, guy? Hello and welcome. We're talking about the basis of ultimate power. According to Jesus, it's not according to Merlin. It's not according to the Apex Christian, but it is according to Apex Christianity, but according to Jesus. So Jesus already laid it down in Matthew 6:33. Find the basis of power for your life. Okay, stop outsourcing it to your parents, to society, to the government, to your boss. Stop doing that. That's not where power comes from. It comes from somewhere else. Now we're going to get into that. Jesus said, who do you say I am? And this is when they were going to stone him in John 15. I believe 15. Anyway, it's in John. I should have written this verse down. But anyway, Jesus says, who do you, in Mark 8:29, they were going to stone him. And whenever you see, the Bible is allegorical. So whenever you see, don't English. Okay, that's fine. Go somewhere else. But God bless you, Rob. Whenever you see a crowd of people getting ready to stone someone, the stones are representative of the stone cold facts of life, meaning literal information, literal explanations, literal expectations of life. When Satan or Peter told Jesus, turn the stones into bread, Jesus replied, is it not written, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Okay? So Jesus is saying it's not the literal facts of life that determine our outcomes. It's something else. I'm getting into that. So Jesus said, who do you say I am? In Mark 8:29. He's not saying, hey, disciples, who do you say that Jesus is? Duh, your name is Yeshua ben Yosef, you're the son of Joseph, the carpenter. That's not what he was saying. He was saying, who do you say I am is? The transcendent self. And how do I know this? Well, the word he's using there is ego, but it's referring back to the same I am in Exodus 3:14. And that is basically, so if it was translated, in a way for modern speakers to understand, Jesus would have said, how do you identify yourself? How do you qualify identity as it pertains to you? I know it's a big phrase there. How do you identify yourself? That is what draws all things to you. This is the secret to ultimate power. Who do you say I am? And then it's the exact same word that was used in John 8:58. Jesus said, verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was born, I am. That makes no fucking sense. Unless you're a gummy worm Christian that believes in a sky phantom that's going to build a mansion up there in the upper atmosphere for you. It's fucking it's fucking insane. Like I don't, again, you know, so this is why a lot of people who have genuine, sincere connections to the Most High are faltering in life. They're fucking broke and they're sad and they're lonely and all these other things because it's like they've been encoded with this psychological virus of outsourcing their divine power to some sky phantom and waiting for a magical cloud house in the upper atmosphere. It makes no fucking sense. You got to get back to the original. And then you got to think about the first century Judeans. Let's say Jesus was a first century Judean rabbi, Yeshua ben Yosef, the son of Joseph, and he lived in Nazareth and Galilee and Egypt and all these places. He literally lived in all those places, right? Or at least walked in those places. And, you know, he's seeing his like countrymen on crosses along the roads. You know, Romans would kill people. They wouldn't kill them. They would torture them, nail them to a cross, and then break their legs, and that would kill them because it would cause them to suffocate. So Jesus walked around and lived in that world, and he's going to speak to you in metaphors. He's going to speak like in magical language that you have to like magically figure out. No, this was a raw, rugged, real world. Jesus hung out with tax collectors and prostitutes and Samaritans. Ugh, right? I'm picking. I mean, they were seen as the scum of the society, right? He hung around with real guttural people, fishermen and carpenters and all these sorts of people. He hung around with real people, and those weren't his everyday, like those were his disciples is what I mean. So Jesus was if he was a first century Judean rabbi, he lived in a real world with real problems, real stuff. You're not going to go talk to somebody. Look, my brother or cousin or dad is hanging on that cross, and he's like been beaten to death, beaten really bad, and they're about to break his legs on Tuesday so he can suffocate on the cross after he's been tortured for 5 days and is starving, and the birds are plucking his eyes out. That's first century Judea, people. That's the Roman world in first century Judea. That's Jesus' world. So he's going to talk in magical, metaphorical things about how wonderful life can be for you in a magical sky phantom fairyland. All right, let's show you here. Well, we're going to get into it in another video because I don't have much time. But Jesus said, you know, look, if you want to have a life that works, yeah. Hey. Okay, let's say some. I guess that's Japanese. Hi, man. What's your channel? No, you. Of course you can. Okay, thank you. You are very kind. Thank him. Okay, well, you can watch it, Mr. Japanese Letters. I guess I think that's Japanese. I don't know. My daughter knows Japanese better than me. But anyway, Jesus lived in a real world with real people and real problems, and he was not interested in selling sky phantom bullshit like they sell you in the gummy worm church today. He was interested in letting people know there is a real seat of power. The Jews were under the foot, the iron fist of the Roman Empire. He wasn't talking about, let's necessarily uprise, because he was like, that doesn't make sense. The Romans are better than you guys. They'll kick the shit out of you real quick, easy like. They've conquered all the world, and you little Judeans are going to like conquer no, you're not going to, no Messiah is going to save you. The Messiah comes from within you. When you realize your power, your autonomy, your connection to the Most High God, that's where the power is. That's the seat of dominion. And that gives you access to the wisdom, the insight, the confidence, the clarity, and the flow that's going to get you from where you want to be and where you are to where you want to go. So that's the message for today. And let's close up here with Jesus. He was reminding us to create our identities because that is the basis of materializing all the desires needed to have satisfaction in life. In Exodus 3:14, Moses went up to the mountain. He got the 10 commandments. And what did Yahweh say to him? Tell them that I am hath sent you. Makes no sense if you read that in a literalist way. So there's a guy calling himself I am. Oh no, that's the God who makes no fucking sense. Like if we just think for half a second, I'm not saying use more than 25 brain cells. Okay, I'm being pejorative here. But like just think enough, right? Just think enough. So you got this all-knowing, all-power source code. You're tapped into that. And it sees the suffering that you're in. It sees the deprivation. It sees the loneliness. It sees the illness. It sees the poverty. It sees all that fucking bullshit. And then it's going to go, I'm going to build you a magical sky phantom, cloud phantom, fairy tale land in the sky after you suffer for 80 fucking years. No, that makes no fucking sense. That's not the God of reality. When you tap into that, I can tell you from personal experience over and over and over and over again. When I tapped into the God that is real, the creator of the universe, the source being, the real power, then I saw immediate results. Real results. And this is what my whole life has been to. I've been through so many initiations. My whole life has been this process of like finding the real God and then expressing and living that in the way that God designed me to live. That's what this whole channel is about, Apex Humanity. Let's close with this. John 15, 23 through 24 says the following. And now Jesus was talking to them and they were sad because he had risen and he was going to leave them. He didn't really leave them. He got off the cross. By the way, they didn't break Jesus' legs. This evidence that the Yeshua guy never died on the cross. These fucking Christians talking all this shit about he died for our sins and he came in the flesh. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, he was in the tomb and they never broke his legs. It's very interesting. The only way that a person died from crucifixion was that their legs were broken. If you know, the crucifixion was a heinous one of the Romans were masters of torture. And so crucifixion required the breaking of legs in order for the person to die. So all these people on the cross, like the thieves that were on the cross, the only reason they died, Jesus said, "I'll see you in paradise." He was probably delirious, but it was probably an esoteric statement as well. But the only way that those thieves died is they got their legs broken. Because when you were on the cross, you would keep pushing yourself up to breathe because they nailed your arms in and it would put you into a position that would make it very hard to breathe. So you push yourself up. And it was torture. It was torture. To live, you had to experience torture, pain. And so they would break your legs and it would make it so you couldn't push yourself up and you would suffocate and you would die. And it was a very merciful thing. Well, he didn't break Jesus' legs, but he died. I mean, they stabbed him in the side with a spear out of mercy. But it's very interesting when you look into it, when you get into the history of these things. So anyway, Jesus was put in the tomb, and they brought aloes and hyssop to the tomb, which are not embalming herbs. Those are cleansing and healing herbs. I say this multiple times. We got to get away from reading the Bible the way they teach you to read it in the church, because that's going to sap you of power. It's going to make you spiritually impotent, and it's going to drain you of your ability to create things that you want in life. So in John 15, 23 through 24, this is after Jesus died or whatever, and or they were sad, he's going away, blah, blah, blah. He didn't really go away. He went away and came back, and he preached for 40 days, and then he went to India and Tibet. That part is not in the Bible, but the 40 days of preaching is. And so in John 15, 23 to 24, Jesus says the following. And in that day you shall ask me nothing. Because Jesus is saying, you're not going to, don't ask me for nothing. Stop praying to me. I'm not God. In the Bible, he says it. He says, verily, verily, I said to you, whatsoever ye ask the Father in my name, he will give it to you. Now, this is, again, poorly translated. Aramaic to Greek to Latin to English. Okay, so what he's actually saying here, whatsoever you shall ask the Father, the source code, the power, dominion, in my name, in my character, meaning Christ is something to be embodied. Christ is something to be expressed and experienced within yourself. And so he's saying, take on my identity, take on my character. When you do that, the source code has no choice but to give it to you. Whatsoever you shall, if you interface with the source of life, with the character of Christ, not a meek, lowly bitch that gets beat up, but a real, powerful, authentic, genuine person. Hitherto have you asked nothing in my name? Ask and you shall receive, and your joy may be full. The whole point of our relationship to the Most High is to experience joy, to experience power, to experience the perfection of an elevated life. And so that is the entire point of the Apex Human journey. Our relationship with Christ should lead to joy, to results, to outcomes, to fulfillment, not to a gummy worm holiness. I'm broke, I'm a loser, I'm lonely, I'm holy. No. I'm wealthy, I'm wise, I'm strong, I'm prosperous, I'm influential, I'm successful, I am full of joy and satisfaction. I don't have happiness, I don't have hope, I don't have whatever these gummy worm emotions, happiness and hope and all those gummy worm emotions. I have satisfaction, I have clarity, I have joy. I have a connection to the Most High. So that's the whole purpose and point of this channel. Again, check out the channel, like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff, and share it with people that have the capacity, the clarity, the spiritual maturity to understand this. Because if you share it with gummy worms, their brains are going to explode, and then you're going to be liable for their death. And so I don't recommend sharing this with them, because again, they will just die on the inside and on the outside. God bless you too, Dragon. I like Dragon. I was going to say something else. But yeah, so just understand that the basis of this channel is to help awaken and activate the Apex self, the Apex experience, the optimal human journey. So that's what I have to say about that. All this stuff is going to be incorporated into the next talk, and we'll go into it a little more in depth. Thank you for watching. Stay Apex.